What's up, everybody? It is time once again for my annual Halloween vlogs. The only time of year I put videos up with any consistency. And I'm starting really early this year. I think usually I don't start until September, usually like mid to late September. But there's enough going on that I want to get these started a little earlier than normal. I think these first few may actually be once every 2 weeks, as opposed to weekly like I normally do later in the season. And I still plan to go to weekly later in the season because I was plotting it out and I think I'll have plenty of content to justify that. But there are some events going on here in the near future that I feel are warranted to be included. And honestly, I could have started this a couple weeks earlier and felt like I had that going on too, because I was just helping my friends make their teaser to get funding for their horror film. I went and saw Bruce Campbell do a Q&A and a screening of the original Evil Dead. And honestly, I already have a few clips filmed of picking up some horror collectibles, either in the wild or getting them shipped. And I could throw those in here. I walked into Target today and found this guy. Saw this about a year ago and couldn't find it since the first time I saw it. So I don't really know where I'm going to display it, but I felt like I needed to get it because I've just been keeping an eye out for it for months now. As I was taking the Freddy car out of the package, I realized that the glove here is the remake glove, and this is definitely the original movie, car, and lame as this little Freddy figure is, it's original Freddy. Actually, it's not original Freddy. It's like a part 2 or later Freddy, because he's got the striped sweater. So this is all over the place. This is a mess. Okay, so closer looking, better lighting. I mean, Freddy has like no detail on his face, so he barely looks burnt. The glove's pretty ridiculous looking too. I mean, this guy is kind of a throwaway, but he is die cast, I guess, so he does stand pretty well in that little stupid pose he's got going on. And then inside the car, I'm not going to bother seeing if she'll come out because I don't know. But we have a little Heather Langenkamp in there, Nancy. So that's kind of cool. I feel like this car is designed more to be a car. This is from Jada Toys. And I think it's meant to be more of, a car replica like they do for so many things. And then, it's just an easy repaint for them to make it a horror thing. So I like that we have the convertible top with the Freddy stripes. That's really just what I wanted out of this. But, it does have opening doors, so these will actually close up. Everything's, or not everything, I could tell certain parts, like the hood is not, or the roof is not die cast, but a lot of it feels die cast and nice. You can see inside the engine there, which is pretty cool. They have their little logo here on the front for, I can't even read it, it's so tiny. I think it's like American Horror Rides or something like that. So you can close up the hood. And then I was really hoping, I know it's not this car, or at least I don't think it's this car. Ooh, that sticker's poorly applied back there. I was kind of hoping there might be like a Freddy skeleton in the back here. That would have been kind of a nice touch, but no such luck. Just a pretty empty trunk with a little spare tire back there. But that does close as well. So, I don't know. It's kind of a goofy thing. It does roll. Is that articulation? Does this count as articulation for a car? I don't know. But does the front, do the wheels, I don't think the wheels like steer or anything. The bottom's just kind of plastic and cheap looking. I don't know, like I said, I wasn't really sure what I needed this for. I just kept seeing it or kept wanting it after not being able to find it last time. So I'll probably put it on the shelf with like my Freddy gloves or something. This guy probably will not make the cut of going into a display because he's pretty shit. But I don't know, I thought it was kind of cool. Alright, so we got an unboxing from Zagone Studios. Alright, so got a sticker on top, which is great, especially because I felt bad cutting through the one on the box itself. And then first up, we've got this kind of demon mask. What is it officially called? The Guardian. This is kind of the same mask they used in the movie Hack-O-Lantern. And I just thought it was a really cool mask, so I wanted to pick it up. Gotta love that their stuff actually comes like stuffed and not just, throw it into an envelope like a lot of places will do. And the second one is the green 77 style Fang Face mask. This is a mask, I think it's out by now, so I think I'm safe saying this, that we were using in Executioner, the movie my friends are making that I helped on. And I always thought it was a cool mask, and after seeing it on the set and being used, I really wanted my own copy of it. So this is based off of the original mold, I believe, or the old 77 mold. I forget if there was a version before 77, but This is a really cool, old school looking mask. So here is the Guardian / Hack-O-Lantern mask on. I really dig this thing. It looks really cool worn. One of the things, I'll show it in a minute, but like the elastic, there's, it's really just like a face mask. There's no real back to it back here, but there is this plush hood that kind of covers the back of your head. But the elastic band that goes across the back is like pretty heavy duty, so I think this is gonna be a durable mask if you were actually wearing it for a long amount of time. Yeah, I think the detail is really cool. The hair is really nice, though. I will say there's little bits of hair all over the inside of the mask that have shed off of the front here, but I'm sure that'll tone down eventually. It's a little bit of a tight fit for me. I've said in the past with masks, I do have a pretty big head. Don't know exactly the measurements of it or anything like that, but the eyes do press in just a little bit tighter on my eyes, but overall it's comfortable enough. I wouldn't have a problem if I was wearing it for an extended amount of time. Actually, kind of am considering maybe putting together a Hack-O-Lantern costume just for the hell of it. And there it is. There's the big chunky elastic band. So yeah, this isn't really going anywhere, I don't think. And then here's the Fang face worn, similar deal with the same type of elastic strap on it. This one, because of the shape of it, it actually is well off my eyes, so it's a lot more comfortable on my face. It does have under the hood here, same idea too, it's like a face mask with the elastic and then the hood over top, but it's a bigger hood. It does have Velcro here in the front, so it can actually attach down below the chin, and then it kind of has like the peak of the back of the hood, so that kind of flaps over the back there. But yeah, I really dig this one as well. The other thing with this mask, I knew it was familiar to me, and I know it's like kind of a classic Halloween mask. I had not remembered until I saw a dark comparison that this face, I think it was the brown version, which is like the male version of it, I guess, was on the cover of Halloween's Walls of Jericho. So it has a heavy metal connection as well, just not quite this coloration. And threw them up on the shelf right above my desk here, along with this guy really doesn't have much bearing on this, but I figured, vintage mask, vintage style masks, they kind of fit together. And then these are just connected by Christmas and New Year's. What?
The Billy?
Oh, I don't know about, I thought you meant the...
Well, judging by the stick and the price tag there, it looks like it. Solid.
Might as well film. So I went back out today to look for some more Halloween goodness. A lot of my running around was just going to places that eventually will be Spirit Halloweens that are not quite open yet, and trying to look through the doors and see how ready they are to open. I'm kind of hoping they'll be open sooner than later here, because a lot of them look like they're about ready to go, but that's just me seeing it from the outside. But I stopped into Party City. I know they usually don't have the best stuff out until much later in the season. They really just had a lot of stuff that they have every year, and I don't know if all of these cups are new or old or whatever, but they were $2 a piece. They had a Pennywise one, a Chucky one, and a Freddy vs. Jason one. They also had 2 Michael Myers ones. Ironically, one of those 2 Michael Myers ones was $1.99, where the rest of these were $2 flat. Not sure where that comes into play. And there was a Universal Monsters one that I would have bought if it didn't have like really stupid text on it, so I skipped on that. But for $2 a piece, I thought they were a fun thing to pick up. They're actually dishwasher safe if you put them on the top rack, which was another deciding factor, because a lot of times things like these don't seem to have that qualification, and then they're just a pain and I never use them. So yeah, I don't know. I thought they were kind of cool. Pretty generic art for the most part, but good enough. I actually think the Pennywise one is the coolest of the 3. And then, if I was to pick up the camera and move back, and yeah, so one of my favorite comic shops in the area, Mythical Mountain, I think I've sung their praises before. Looks like they're picking up their horror stuff. They recently moved into a brand new location in the Jacksonville area, and they really beefed up the Trick or Treat Studios mask. And then they have a couple non-Trick or Treat Studios ones as well, but they have the Tots life-size Part 2 Myers out there, and they had this sitting out there. They only had one, and apparently they got it last night. They put it out this morning, and I was there maybe 10 minutes after they opened to buy it, so it really didn't last long on their store shelves, but I am very happy to have grabbed this. It's the Trick or Treat Studios life-size Judith Myers Tombstone. I was actually just looking for this online, and it was sold out on Tots' site, so I'm really excited to have it. So it's pretty cool. Like, obviously all the text is sunken in. It is styrofoam, so if you get up close you can kind of see it does have that styrofoam texture to it, which I'm sure might be a deal breaker for some people. But you got the flowers carved in, our beloved daughter Judith Myers, birth date, her death date, And the bottom actually has the section where it looks like it was sunk into the ground and has like dirt and mud and everything on it. Just like when Mikey takes it and puts it over the bed in the movie. So I think this looks really cool, especially if something you're going to view from a distance and not scrutinize super up close just because of the, oh, didn't mean to hit that. Just because of the styrofoam texture, I think it take a little bit away from it. But overall, I think it's pretty cool. The back is just more of the same kind of gray, but it's just plain, no texture or anything. So really, you're only ever going to see this side. So I really don't know if this is going to be the final display for this. Probably not. I don't know. But there it is, up with some of my H1 masks. Now granted, my H1 masks are nothing too special. They're just Trick or Treat Studios ones. Same with the knife as well. So, nothing crazy at this point. I do eventually want to get these maybe at least rehauled or something to make them a little more movie accurate. But overall, I think it looks pretty cool. It's a nice display. I have these Walmart bookshelves basically here, and I think about 10-foot ceilings, and then with the Tombstone on top, it actually has to be angled to not have to not be cut off or anything. So it's probably not the most ideal spot. It's kind of wedged in there right now, and there's no room to really go anywhere. But that could also be a positive thing as well. So we'll see. Like I said, I really don't know if this is going to be permanent or not, but that's where it's going to sit for right now. So just hanging out, waiting for my work meeting to start. Not even kidding. Every month we have a Zoom meeting with a background contest, and it quickly devolved into a costume contest on top of the background. So yeah, Thursday the 12th, might as well break this thing out. And I have a lot of events planned coming up for various horror-related things. The first one on my list is Megacon, which, as the time of recording this, is coming up this Friday. You'll see it later in the video, so it's kind of worthless me saying that it's coming up. This is the first time I've ever attended Megacon. I have to say, I'm a little worried about going. It just seems like there's a lot of negative feelings going towards this event happening. And it's funny that some of them are two sides of the same coin. There's people trying to request a refund because the surge in COVID cases make them feel unsafe going. And on the flip side, there's people who want a refund because they announced that masks are going to be required at the convention. And beyond that, there's like a tropical storm heading this way. It's Florida. A tropical storm means very little until it gives us a reason to be worried. And a big thing is a lot of the guests have dropped out. My plan was to go Friday because I figured it would be a smaller crowd. I looked at some videos from 2019. It seemed like the crowd size was much smaller on Friday. And I really only want one guest that's currently attending. There were a couple that canceled that I kind of wanted to meet, but whatever. I think at my last count, there's like 22 guests going and 14 that canceled, which is a pretty substantial percentage. I've also noted that their website just doesn't seem to present information in the most logical way, and it's kind of a pain to find what you need on there. So I'm kind of terrified that I'm missing some really vital information on there that's just tucked away somewhere and it's going to come back to bite me. But I'm really not trying to go into this with a bunch of negative feelings. I'm gonna head down there and check it out and hopefully have a good time. And if not, it's Orlando, I can find other stuff to do. Alright, so I am back from Megacon, and I had tried to record this video in the car the other day heading home, and I was so tired that I don't think it came out very well at all. So I basically had a pretty full day at the con, despite me not thinking I would. I decided that since the con opened at 10 a.m., I would try to get there a little early so I can get my badge and get in right when the con was opening. And I was originally going to just go in like normal clothing into the con the first time, but I decided to put on my whole babyface Hills Run Red costume to start with. And that was a wonderful idea until I stepped out of the car and was reminded that I was in Florida and that it was hot as hell outside, because yeah, that got really toasty really fast. But I went in. They have a very unique badge system at Megacon, something I've never seen at another con. Like usually you either have like a wristband or you have like a badge on a lanyard or something, and that's all you need. You just need to show that when you're actually going into the con area. They know you paid to get in, all that fun stuff. Theirs, they give you the badge, but they don't actually even give you anything to attach it to your person on, or else they didn't give me anything like that. They literally just gave me the badge. So at first, when I was first going through, I didn't have a lanyard or anything, so I was just kind of carrying it around, hoping that that was sufficient. They were selling lanyards for $5 each, but I really didn't feel like I should have to buy anything just because they weren't providing it. Like even Dragon Con provides like a little clip or something usually. But anyway, You then have to go on your phone and activate the badge using a code on it. And then every time you go into the con, they have to scan the badge. And then when you leave the con area, they have to scan the badge again. Very strange, especially the first time I left, it didn't seem to scan right because it threw an error and the guy just told me to go. And then I came back in and it scanned and it said there was an error because it said I was already in the convention. And yeah, it was kind of weird. So they let me out and then back in without really caring that it didn't scan properly. And then it kind of worked fine after that. But my main goal for this con was to meet Adam Savage from Mythbusters and from Tested and a bunch of other stuff on like Discovery Channel and stuff. He was in, Robot Wars BattleBots back in the day. Just, a person I've looked up to for quite a while, I think. Is basically the best way to describe it. So basically walked straight through the con. The con floor was set up in a way where there was like a main row going through the middle of everything. And where that dead ended at the end of the building where all the celebrity signing area parts were. So I went, found his thing. There's already a little bit of a line there at 10 a.m. right when the con opened, and he had already posted online he was getting there at 10:30. I was very glad because a lot of guests were canceling last minute. I mean, I even saw guests that were supposed to be there Saturday, Sunday were canceling as late as this morning. But he had posted like the day prior that he was at Galaxy's Edge, so I knew he was actually in Orlando, which was, a good sign. Yeah, he showed up pretty much right on the dot, 10:30, did his signings. I always had that problem of like, I don't know what to say to people at conventions in that situation. But I basically, was kind of just saying that on Tested, if you don't watch that channel, I feel like they've really upped the output of videos they've done over the last year plus during the whole COVID crap and all that. And I basically just said like, thank you for all the stuff you put out lately, especially because it's been a good way to kind of escape from the stupid crap going on in the world. And he actually seemed like he kind of appreciated that, statement and stuff. Like, I don't know, sometimes you say positive things to guests at cons and they're just kind of like, oh yeah, I'm fantastic, I know. But I don't know, I felt like he was actually kind of appreciative of that. So that was a cool interaction. I got his autograph, I'll throw that up here. And then I realized there was a problem because now I was in a costume with an axe in one hand. I actually had taken my mask off because I realized that when trying to talk through both a COVID mask with the babyface mask over top of it, my voice was extremely muffled. So I took the babyface mask off. So now I was holding a photo, an axe, and a mask. So I decided to go back to my truck to drop off initially just the photo, but I decided actually just to give the costume a break until I was going to use it a little later in the day. So I basically ended up getting rid of like the jacket, the gloves, the mask, all that, and leaving that back at the car for a little while. Then I went back in and actually went to Adam's panel, which wasn't too long after he started signing autographs. And that was actually fun. He didn't have anything in particular to show off, so we really just did like an extended Q&A. Unfortunately, the Megacon panels, I'm trying to remember if other panels are like this, but they were only like 45 minutes, it seems like, and they were kind of getting everybody out so they could get people back in on the next hour so that they could do another panel. And that was disappointing because I feel like his could have gone on for quite a bit longer and he would have had a lot more to talk about. The plus side is I believe he confirmed already that he has the intent of going to Dragon Con next year, so hopefully I will also be back at Dragon Con next year and maybe they'll give him an extended time spot or something like that. I can only hope.
Everybody! Man, it is so good to see you all. What's been going on? Holy shit, what just happened? Hi everybody, I'm so glad you made it out. Thanks for coming out, thanks for dressing up, thanks for wearing your masks. Sorry, but Mythbusters, the thing is that I already took all my favorite copies. I've got 3 Civil War mini balls that are welded together by air. I have the $50 with a bullet hole through the middle of it. I've got an iPod, first generation iPod with a bullet hole right there. Oh yeah, all memories. But any prop from any movie, it's weird. I mean, I think strangely, and I don't know why, I'm thinking apocalyptically for survival. I don't know why. Could be anything, but it's like it's probably a vehicle, and it's probably like a boat, right? Like to me, Like a boat's going to be the most useful thing.
Not the Titanic.
What's that?
Not the Titanic.
Not the Titanic, but maybe the Orca. Right? Like, you know, Quint, I mean, which of us wouldn't want Quint on our post-apocalyptic team? He's at least going to be the hors d'oeuvre. Thank you.
Yes, first, thank you for writing Every Tool to Hammer. Great maker philosophy in that. And my question is, what question have you always wanted to be asked at a panel? And a subsequent answer to
You're
that
making
question.
me do your job? Oh man, you guys get to everything eventually. I love talking about the process. I love talking about the creative process. I love talking about the look. I am positive that this room is full of people who started cosplaying without really knowing exactly why, and then there was a moment at which something happened and you, as I am right now, got like goose pimples and something important was going on. You still weren't sure about it, but you went towards it, and then you did it a little more and something even deeper happened, and then you met a community, and that community brought up other things, and that this is a journey of self-discovery for all of us. And then confronting the challenges we do on the workbench is not dissimilar from the ways and the methods by which we learn to confront the challenges in our lives. You know, workbench is this very safe place, and by workbench that can be the interface of your coding interface, it could be your sewing machine, it could be anything. But at that zone, you confront problems and you solve them, and you learn about yourself in the process, because we get freaking cranky as hell when stuff doesn't go the way we want it to go. And you know, I'm super guilty of that. And this process of self-discovery is still going on for me. I learned many of the things I said in my TED Talk about cosplay while writing that TED Talk about cosplay. Because I had to put my experience into words. I wrote that talk in 3.5 days, back and forth with my wife, while I was in Vancouver and she's in San Francisco. We went through about 80 drafts. Every night I recorded one, and then the next morning I listened back to it, because I can hear when I listen to myself speak, I can hear exactly where I'm full of shit. And I can really work to make sure I'm saying something genuine, and that the transitions are right, and that there's a beat and a rhythm and a pace to it that I like. And in doing that, I learn about myself, and I think it makes me a more empathetic human. I think it makes me feel more connected to people as a whole. And I think it's really important that we all talk about that process, because I'm also sure that many of you have family members that are like, what kind of weird shit are you into? And that's fine. No one has to understand my journey, only I do. But like when we get to share that information with each other, there's a lot to learn. Really? Already only 10 minutes left? Holy crap!
But yeah, that was a lot of fun. Actually, during the panel, I was on my phone a little bit because there were a couple exclusives going up for sale because it was Friday the 13th, and I wanted to snag those, and I was successful in snagging all 3 items that I wanted. Spoiler alert, I spent more money on this online shopping than I did at the actual convention, which is kind of hilarious. Because honestly, the only thing I spent money on was Adam's autograph, parking, and a hot dog. I think that was the extent of my spending at this convention. But after the panel, I decided to actually go back onto the con floor to go through the vendor room, and mostly just to take footage and stuff to include in this video. Because it's a more generalized con, and I run into this at Dragon Con as well, a lot of the vendors are not things that I care about. Like, you know, I go to Spooky Empire or another horror con, all the stuff, even if I'm not super interested in the specific item they're selling, there's at least like cool horror iconography tied with it. There's just a lot of like, you know, anime crap I don't care about, a lot of superhero stuff I don't really care about, a ton of people just selling piles and piles of pop vinyls. So sick and tired of seeing them. They should all be destroyed. There were a couple places that had some cool boots, like one that had a bunch of different masks and stuff. A lot of Trick or Treat Studio stuff, but nothing I desperately needed. They did actually have some cool Zagone stuff, but I just recently got a package from Zagone, so I really was like, I don't really need more Zagone stuff right this second. I think they had a couple other brands there that were a little more rare or a little less common seen, but just nothing that was really speaking to me as like, I need to take this home, as much as I wanted to buy something from that booth just because it was a cool bunch of horror stuff there. there. Another booth feeding into my other major obsession had a couple of BattleBots from last season on display. The booth was actually for Robot Ruckus, which is a robot combat event that happens usually in the fall in Orlando, usually either October or November. I've had to miss last year didn't happen. I missed the year prior to it. Not sure if I'm going to make it this year, but they're one of the few events in the country outside of BattleBots that will run the 250-pound full-size heavyweight robots, as well as a bunch of smaller weight classes and stuff too. I feel like I'm losing my entire audience going this far in depth. But anyway, so they had Witch Doctor and Sporkanok from the last season of BattleBots there on display. They were basically gutted chassis, but the outside was complete enough that you got the idea of what the robot looked like, and that was cool to see up close. I've seen Witch Doctor many times. I've seen the old versions of Sporkanok before it was on BattleBots, but it was cool seeing the BattleBots version of it. The only other thing I picked up is my friend had asked me if I found a bootleg DVD vendor selling the entire series of Goosebumps to pick that up, so I grabbed that for him. Which, just as a complete other side note, why does that not have like a full series release, especially with like the Fear Street movie and the Goosebumps movies that have been out? Like, it just seems like they're not picking up money by not releasing that as like a nice little Blu-ray set. So really, that was all I did for a good chunk of the afternoon, was just kind of wander around, look at different things, and then I decided to go get my costume back on, so another trek out to the car. And unfortunately, I parked on the backside of the convention center, so it was quite a trek going back and forth to my car every time. But on the schedule, there was a horror cosplay photo shoot, and I definitely thought that would be fun to do. And I think I was listed as being in like the cosplay photo park or something, but that wasn't actually labeled anywhere on the maps that they provided, so I actually had to go to the information booth and ask where that was. And in talking to some of the people later, it sounds like I was far from the only person that had to go do that. So that was kind of, I don't know, maybe to account for the fact there weren't as many people there as I was hoping there would be. But basically, yeah, I met up in the area that I was told to go to. Originally, I actually thought it was a little bit in a different way than where it was, but I kind of just started looking at other people in horror costumes and kind of following. And once we all kind of started congregating there, we started pulling more and more people in. Thankfully, some of the people that were there were in costumes where they could speak and hear a lot easier than I could. Because unfortunately, like I said, with the babyface costume, because the mouth is open, I did have like a standard COVID mask like over my mouth, and then had the silicone hood or mask on. So that's already makes my voice sound bad, like when I'm trying to talk to that just with nothing else on. And then the ear holes in it sit like here on me. They don't sit at my ears. I don't know if that's just because I have a fat head or if it's something weird with how the mask is sculpted. I don't know if it would fit everybody the same way like that. So I'm not really getting clear audio out of the ear holes in the mask. I'm just getting a lot of muffled sound a lot of times. So people have to be talking pretty loud, especially because masks were mandatory at this con. COVID masks. So confusing. It just amplified that problem. But thankfully, some of the girls that kind of got there early on were able to communicate pretty easily, and were pulling in other people to come and join the photo shoot. Every time they saw somebody in a horror costume, they just kind of like dragged them over. And, it's weird because when Dragon Con has like photo meetups, and I don't know much about the organization of those, I think a lot of those photo shoots are like just fan done, or, they're not official items on the Dragon Con schedule. But the one I went to a couple years ago, there were photographers, like professional photographers, like waiting there for this to happen. They kind of helped wrangle everybody and get everybody into, alignment and everything. And, it all worked out pretty well, honestly. This was just kind of us horror cosplayers trying to get people to notice that there was a group of us, and people in cosplay to join us, and then people with cameras to pay attention to us. I guess it was weird, but eventually it kind of worked out. Like, we all kind of lined up, and a bunch of people started taking photos. I have not yet found too many photos online. Maybe by the time I edit and post this, I will have found some more. But right now, I think the best I could really do is to steal some screenshots out of Adam the Woo's vlog about the day. And that was just the easiest thing for me to get because I recognized that he was there taking video. So I knew that, that was at least going to be some source of the photos or video clips that I could find later. So maybe not as streamlined as that could have been, but it was still fun. It was cool seeing a bunch of other people in costumes. There were some really good ones there. Definitely some unique ones. I thought, being Friday the 13th, that there would just be Jasons like crazy, because I went through a couple different ideas of what I wanted to wear this con. Originally, I was going to save Babyface for another con, like a true horror con. I was thinking about wearing my Crazies costume, but the weapon policy said no realistic firearms, and I wanted to carry one of the, like a airsoft version of one of the guns that they carry in the movie instead of wearing the flamethrower pack like I did last time, because that was just really bulky and awkward, and especially by myself, I feel like I'd knock things over too easily with it. They said no realistic guns. I saw plenty of realistic looking guns at the con, so I don't really know how they make that determination, or if there was communication enough to make that actually happen. And then I thought of doing my part 3 Jason because it was the 13th. And then I kind of was like, well, I'm just going to see 8 billion other Jasons. So I stayed away from that one. Turns out it would have been pretty safe. We had one Jason in our group. Well, one full Jason and one like female Jason, but it was more of a female Jason that was intentionally female Jason and not like a woman wearing a Jason costume that was still looking like Jason from the movies. Does that make sense? I think that makes sense. But yeah, after that, I was pretty much done. That was all I really wanted to do. I thought, because this was about maybe 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm kind of leaving a little early. I did not realize the con closed at like 7, so I got there right when it opened. So there's really only 3 hours that I wasn't there for. I think there was like some kind of like after party or something, but I definitely wasn't really interested in doing that, and I had to get back home anyway. So yeah, that was my Megacon experience. And afterwards, because I was in the area, I decided to go over to Mortem Manor, specifically Postmortem, which is their store. I went there about a year ago for the first time, but I think it was probably a little closer to Halloween when I went, and they had a lot of masks. They had especially a lot of Trick or Treat Studios stuff, some cool prop things, some cool toys, just a lot of cool horror stuff. And then I went several months back and they had less of the cool stuff there that I was looking for. And then I went this time and their shift seems to be more towards like apparel and like clothing accessories. And there were still some masks, still some props, but not nearly as much as there were last time. I don't know if they're gonna ramp back up as it gets closer to Halloween. I kind of feel like a lot of the Halloween stuff is starting to ramp up now. You think they might be trying to do that now instead of later, but who knows. But yeah, I was a little disappointed. I'd maybe try again closer to Halloween when I'm down in Orlando if I have time, but I was hoping for some more there that I didn't get. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this video, the first, I guess, technically in my Halloween vlog series. My plan right now is to be back in 2 weeks with another one. I have some other stuff lined up, so should have plenty of content to show off at that one. So I will see you guys next time. Later.